Hey everyone! Today we're diving into a book called Consciência Leve, which translates to light consciousness. And it's just that, not a rule book, but a really gentle invitation to think a little differently. And it all kicks off with one simple but pretty profound question. Right from the get-go, the book asks this. It's not about judgment, it's about curiosity. It's this idea that our food choices aren't the finish line. Nope, they're actually the starting point for a much bigger conversation, really, about how we see the world and our role in it.
So before we even get to what's on the plate, the book wants us to look at the ideas behind our choices. This first part is all about the why. It's like building the foundation before we put up the walls. And the book makes a really key distinction right here. You've got morals, which you can think of as our default programming, the habits and customs we just sort of absorb from society and follow without thinking. But then you have ethics. And that's the moment we hit pause on that programming and ask a really important question. Hey, does this still make sense for me?
And this is that ethical pause in action. The book throws this question out there, and it really highlights a disconnect we all see. We love our pets, right? Our dogs, our cats, they get all the affection. But then other animals like cows and chickens are often just seen as, well, products. The book just gently asks us to think about that. Why? Now there's a word for this, speciesism. But the book isn't using it like an accusation. It's framing it as a social habit, one that's so deeply ingrained we barely notice it. It's this quiet assumption that a being's worth is tied to what species it belongs to. And like any habit, once you become aware of it, you can actually start to examine it. So, what's the thread that connects all these animals? The book points us to this idea of sentience. And this isn't about animals being like humans, not at all. It's just about the scientifically backed ability to feel things, to experience pain, to want comfort, to be interested in your own life. It's the fundamental thing that connects us to them. And that really brings us to the ethical bottom line of this whole first section. The idea is just this. If a being is capable of feeling, then maybe they deserve some consideration when our choices directly affect them. Okay, so once you've chewed on the why, your brain naturally jumps to the next big thing, right? The practical stuff, the how. You start thinking, is this healthy? What about my nutrients? Can I even do this? So the book shifts gears to tackle some of the biggest nutrition myths head on. Let's start with the big one, the question that everybody, and I mean everybody, asks, but where do you get your protein? This idea that real protein only comes from animals is probably one of the most stubborn myths out there.
Well, the reality is the plant kingdom is absolutely loaded with protein. We're talking about everyday, affordable foods like beans, lentils, chickpeas, grains, seeds. The book really makes it clear that the challenge isn't finding protein. It's just about embracing a little variety on your plate.
All right, let's talk about the next big one, calcium. I mean, we've had it drilled into us since we were kids, right? Strong bones mean you gotta drink milk. So is it actually possible to get what you need without dairy? And the answer from the book is a resounding yes. Calcium is everywhere in things like kale, sesame seeds, and broccoli. And on top of that, so many plant-based milks and foods are fortified with it these days, which makes it super easy. The point is, it's not that the nutrient is missing, it's just about shifting where you look for it. How about iron? It's super important for our energy levels, and a lot of people, vegan or not, worry about getting enough. So how does a plant-based diet hold up?
You might be noticing a pattern here. A lot of those same protein powerhouses, your beans, your lentils, are also packed with iron. And the book gives a great little tip. If you pair these foods with something high in vitamin C, like a squeeze of lemon or some bell peppers, your body absorbs that iron way, way better.
Now, B12 is a special case. It's made by microbes in the soil, not by plants or animals. And I love how the source material puts this. B12 isn't a problem with a vegan diet. It's just a known factor, and it's one that's been completely solved with simple, reliable supplementation. It's just a straightforward thing to be aware of.
So as we start to wrap this up, the book really gets to its core message. This whole thing isn't about flipping a switch and becoming this perfect, rigid version of yourself overnight. It's about choosing to walk down a certain path. I absolutely love this quote. It just completely reframes the whole conversation. Instead of focusing on what you're giving up, it asks you to think about what you're gaining. You're gaining a wider sense of compassion, a closer connection to your food, and really a more conscious way of moving through the world.
And this is the promise the book makes right from the very start. Its goal isn't to drag you over to a finish line or convince you of anything. It's just to share some information, get you thinking, and hopefully awaken your own consciousness, because it respects that everyone's on their own timeline.
And this right here is what Consciência Leve, that idea of light consciousness, is really all about. It's not about being weighed down by guilt or trying to be perfect. It's about the feeling of lightness that comes from making these small, intentional choices that just feel right to you, one little step at a time.
And so, we end right back where we started, with a question. The book doesn't give you a map with a big X on it. It just hands you a compass. So after thinking about all this, the only question that really matters is the one you ask yourself. What's the next small, light choice that makes sense for you?